Gary Christophe. I'm an architect. And around 2004, I was introduced to ceramics by my ex-boss, Ted Osborne. He used to make ceramics here and bring them over to the office and auction them so we can buy some books for the office, for the library. So I used to buy a lot of his ceramics, and one day he says, "Hey, why don't you just come over to the studio and make them yourself?" So I did, and I got hooked ever since, and so I've been here for 15 years. You ready? What's great about ceramics that's different than architecture is that you can get stuff done in a short period of time. Whereas in architecture you have projects that last anywhere from 6 months to 4 or 5 years. In ceramics you can make something and it can be fired and you can have it in your hands in a couple of weeks. So that brings a lot of satisfaction, quick satisfaction. You can see quick results and then augment your results to obtain whatever else you want to get out of the particular type of ceramic that you need. So as far as ceramics and how it relates to architecture, recently when I've done a lot of sculptural pieces, I find that because it's more tactile, you can mold clay with your hands, you get a better sense of how of the different shapes that you can create, and that can be adapted into architectural forms. So it's the fact that you can it's tangible, you can touch it with your hands and mold it, that makes it so much more of a learning tool when it comes to architecture.
Trying to upsell you on surfaces.
The fundraiser that I'm working on is for a school, and the title is Threshold. So the threshold for me could be a lot of things. In the case of my piece, it's I have a box and two hands with the hands creating planes, wall planes, and roof planes that ultimately result in buildings. So the threshold for me is the office and what it creates with the hands and what it offers to the community. Basically, everything has been done in the past. When you look in museums from cultures from 5,000 years ago, you see that they've done pretty much everything you see here. I'm trying some new techniques in slip casting. I'm introducing color. And slip casting is where you create a mold and you pour a liquid inside and then it forms a thickness and then you pop it out. I'm trying to create a lot of new designs, new color variations, integration of different types of patterns, etc. Everything else that I do has been done in the past, so I can't claim anything as mine. But you know, there's variations within each style, and everyone has their own don't look. You can tell from people's pieces on these shelves who did what, if you know them and you know their style. So there's nothing new, but then again, there's people creating their own unique twists on what's been done in the past. Okay, I think the most challenging and the most exciting parts are both the same for me. And that is, you never know what's going to come out of the kiln when it's fired. So the challenge is trying to get consistency with your pieces and to make them a certain way so they're fired, they don't crack. And then when you glaze them, make sure that you get a consistency. But again, that's the bad part, and that's also the fun part in that when you do get your pieces out of the kiln, it's always a surprise. It's like opening presents at Christmas time. You never know what you're going to get. And try and dislodge it slowly. In this case, it was very easy, as you can see, because it wasn't glued down as much. Took a little chunk off the bottom, but that doesn't matter because it's going to be facing down. So that worked out for the best this time. Could have been bad. So I think there's a lot of people that come into the studio looking for the pieces, and they're always surprised to see what came out, because it's not exactly what you expected. Sometimes it's really different, it's really good, and sometimes it's not so good. But you know, you have to take the good with the bad.
Let's see what we got in here. There it is, right there. That's the roof. There's the side.
Challenge was the box, because I was told that if I fire it in Raku that it might crack because of the heat. There's so much surface on the box that when it would heat up, it might crack. So I left it as is. I only fired it once, and I'm going to probably put some acrylic paint on it with some variations in colors to match the other pieces. So it's going to be a mixed media piece. Another challenge with the piece was that just the color, the glazes. I thought they were going to come out a certain way, and most of them did, and some were surprises. So I have to ultimately, because it's a big puzzle, I have to put the puzzle together and figure out what goes well together and what doesn't, and how I can either delete pieces or add other pieces, or do whatever else it takes to bring the puzzle together. When you walk into a gallery, or when you walk into a show and you see a piece, whether it's a painting or sculpture or whatever it is, you should come up with your own ideas of what it is, and not be swayed or you know, your initial reaction should not be changed by the title of the piece. It brings you closer to other artists, and then you get to talk about your ideas and concepts, and if there's a camaraderie with artists, and it just allows you to express yourself and to learn from others. Alright, so this is where it all happens. This is my spot in the studio. I'm here every Saturday. And once I started the fundraiser ceramic piece. I started making the box here with flat pieces and the sculptural piece of the hands and the other buildings and wall planes. Once the pieces were made here, then we put them on cookies, plaster bats, I should say, and we put them on the shelves under plastic. This is one of my pieces right here. So they're covered until they basically lose some of their water. And from here, once they become what's called leather hard, we put them here on these shelves. And they dry some more right here until when you touch them, they don't feel cold. That means they're dry enough. And then we take them over to the shelves over here. The instructors bring them over to the shelves right here. And then from here, once they're ready and it's their turn, they go into one of the kilns over here for bisque firing. So bisque firing is the first firing that we do for the pieces so that they can absorb the glaze. So these three kilns here, that's an electric kiln, that's an electric kiln, this is a gas-fired kiln. So this is what we fire, the bisque firing. And you can see the bisque firing here. This is an example of that. You can hear how it is. So basically it's fired to 1700 degrees, and then this way it can absorb glaze for the final firing. For the Raku firing, the process is the same up until this point. We also do what's called high fire here with these two gas kilns, and this goes to 2400 degrees. Here's an example of some of the high fire pieces here. You can see them all here. But for Raku firing, I use special glazes for Raku, and that gets fired to 1800 degrees. So the bisque firing is at approximately 1800, and then the Raku firing is again at 1800. Whereas for the high fire, it's 1800 for the bisque firing, and then 2400 degrees for the final fire. So I'll show you some of the special Raku glazes that we use. These are the examples of the different colors. You can see whether it's turquoise or red bronze or orange or amethyst. So there's you apply a couple of coats of the glaze, and it has to be within 24 hours of the firing. And we put them on the shelves, and then we fire them outside in the portable kiln. I don't want to give away my concept, and I don't want to give away anything other than what I said, because I think the viewer should make up their own story, and I think that's the beauty of any sculpture.